Good morning. How's everyone doing? Nice and warm in here.
Yes, compared to that door.
Well, very nice to meet you all. Jazz Sood, Meerah Rajavel, Meerah. This is so much fun. So not only are you such an accomplished, you have such an accomplished career, CIO at Palo Alto Networks, but we've had an opportunity over the last 3 years to work together. So this is a privilege for me as we're friends. So we'll have some fun. So a couple of fun facts, and we'll get to it in our session, but not only, I'm going to tell you a little bit about Meerah, just so you guys understand the breadth of her experience. She's served as a software engineer, architect, and IT leader at not only startups, but public companies. So you've seen it all, Meerah, apparently here.
You have to see the movie. You have to be from the birth to the something that you're becoming a bigger, larger corporation.
Yeah. But you were also CIO at Citrix, 4Point, Click, and held a bunch of other leadership roles at McAfee and Cisco. So getting your perspective across a lot of the tech landscape is awesome as well. But you're an accomplished mother and a runner. So we're going to talk about Meerah's love for running. And last year, she completed a personal goal of running a marathon in all 7 continents, including Antarctica. So she deserves a round of applause. And you would never know, like, she'll come back to the office after, oh yeah, I was over here and I ran this. And you're like, what? You know, you're still, she's just walking around. So Meerah, amazing.
Thank you.
All right, so we're going to talk about your career journeys. I just mentioned you've done a lot of different things. And what's interesting, too, is you've done these roles, right? You're a CIO, now you're like, okay, I know what it takes to do these jobs. So let's start from the very beginning. And what sparked your interest around technology and computers and tech? Why'd you go tech?
I think anyone who can look at me can tell that I was born in India, and I was born in a very small town. I mean, we can call it village, but it's a very small town in southern part of India, and it was a community which is a very, very close community. Typically, girls get married between the age of 16 and 17, and most of my cousins got married around that same time as well. Luckily, I have my parents who are more focused on education because my mom was a teacher, my dad was a teacher. They really want to make sure that we kids get education. However, there is a very constrained definition of education. We have to be in front of their eyes, we don't leave the town, et cetera, et cetera. So I was in 10th grade. I still remember it was when we were there were 2 public exams we gave, one in 10th grade and one in 12th grade. And the 10th grade decides what you want to do. I mean, we didn't have a choice of you can be an engineer and a doctor. My daughter is actually a biomedical engineer. Now she's in medical school. I used to joke around with her, this country is amazing. You can be an engineer. She was a businesswoman for 5 years before she decided to go back to medical school. You can be an engineer, you can be a businesswoman, you can be a doctor, and she also wants to have law. I'm like, what are you going to do? Just keep sitting in this school? But that was not an option for us.
School.
That was not an option for us, so we have to choose. I still remember it was 10th grade summer holidays. I'm at home. My neighbor boy, who's also a good friend, of course, I'm from a very, very conservative community, so we don't talk to boys once you reach puberty. It's more an exception if you're talking to boys. Since we grew up together, that guy used to come over once in a while, and we just do math problems together. That was the only reason my dad let him into the house.
You were studying?
No, actually, it's not like in my room, okay? So it will be in the living room. It'll be in the living room. My dad is a math teacher, and he wants to prove his daughter is better than him. That's the only reason I get to do math problems with him. So he comes, and this guy brings this little keyboard-like, and he connects to our TV monitor, I mean, this whole big CRT TV, and he was showing off, and that was the first computer I ever saw in my life. And it can do only two things, and I'm dating myself. I mean, those are called this keyboard computers or whatever it is. Everything is in one keyboard. You connect to a TV monitor. It can do one thing. You can program in BASIC. Basically, it does a lot of computation, the language called BASIC those days. And then there's one game, it's called Paddle. It's actually this little thing goes around, and there's a ball that just jumps around, and you cannot let it. I mean, that was the most exciting, and he was showing off how he can program and blah, blah, blah. I mean, he couldn't beat me in math, so he can show off in telling that he can do programming, and I decided, okay, I'm going to be a programmer, and I'm going to beat you. I mean, it feels silly, but I just fell in love with it. I mean, jokes apart, I really fell in because when I looked at the power of that little machine, able to do complex calculations in a matter of seconds, I said, I'm going to do. And luckily, that same time, my school, which was a girls' school, they announced they're going to introduce computer science program for the 11th graders. However, they didn't have a faculty. And so a lot of my friends don't want to go into a program because the grades count. 11th grade and 12th grade decides where you go to college, right? So, but I was like, no, I want to learn computer science. I didn't even know that it was called computer science engineering. All I know was the word programmer. My goal entire life is I want to be a programmer. So I took computer science, and then for the first 3 to 4 months, I was the faculty. So I used to go to a boys' college. I convinced my dad and my uncle and finally got hold of somebody who can teach me on weekends. So I go and learn on weekends, and then I come back and teach the class on the weekdays.
So you taught as a student?
Yeah. So we didn't have a faculty. We have to study. Somebody has to. So the school was very happy that they have actually somebody who can do that for a while. But we didn't have even a computer in this college, I mean, in our classroom. So we convinced the college professor to give us on Saturday mornings 3 hours. So we will be 60 people, get in a bus, go to the college, everybody gets 5 minutes of computer time.
Wow.
So it's like hilarious. And most of us don't know typing. So by the time we do 2 instructions, the 5 minutes is done. So the next person comes in. So in a day, we will probably execute 2 to 3 programs between 60 people. So my love for computers started there. And then I was able to convince my mom and dad that I want to go for engineering school, which has to be out of my town. And I mean, if anybody is aware of Indian culture, especially conservative culture, you are not a daughter of your mom and dad. You are a daughter of a huge family. Your uncle, aunt, your grandma, grandpa, everybody decides your life except you. They will decide who you are marrying, they'll decide what you're studying, they'll decide what you want to do with life, and you'll be told. That's the age I was from. So my mom and dad has to go and convince all my uncles, the big uncles and aunts, and then my grandparents. And he convinced to the point that, hey, she will be only an hour away from, and we can keep an eye on her. Oh. I'm like, okay, as long as you are going to let me go and study computer science and engineering, I'm all for it. So I went for computer science and engineering, 4 years. Of course, my mom didn't know a lot of things I could do, even though I was only an hour away. And it was actually, of course you need to have fun in life. What is life without fun? Right? So actually, my love for software engineering really got solidified, and I could tell that, the thing that motivated me was the creativity that one can bring. I didn't know at that point in time how much technology is going to completely change the world. Today, if somebody asks, like, hey, did you know about that you're going to be having an entire world connected through technology? Maybe not. At that time, for me, it is the speed that actually is amazing for me, and then the amount of creativeness. So I actually was really interested in graphics, so I used to do a lot of research when I was in college with different professors working on graphics, and graphics was not even a big thing at that time. And today we take it for granted, when it comes to multiple languages. And India is a country of so many languages. So I used to work on translation using graphics as a way to, take an English language and translate to a local language and draw it out. That requires a lot of algorithms and translations, and that just solidified. And of course, now I'm 19 years old, and I was like ahead with my education, and my mom and dad were getting a tremendous pressure because I'm so old, I'm not married. Because all my younger cousins are married. They are actually, one of them had a baby already. So it's a tremendous pressure for my mom and dad. So I graduate. 1 week later, I got engaged. And 3 months later, it was a traditional arranged marriage. And 3 months later, I was married. I turned 20 and I was married. And my mom and dad had this biggest relief that their oldest daughter got married. I'm not going, no, it was literally, they told them like, she's so old, you will not be able to find a boy. And luckily, I got married to an amazing guy, and he became my friend, mentor, because I had no idea. I wanted to work. I still was having this goal. I want to be the programmer. I didn't know there is something called software engineer is the role. It was called programmer. So he was in technology. So to me, one of the added advantages, I shouldn't say this, it was a traditional arranged marriage, but I was happy. This guy knows how to do technology, so he can be my friend and teach me.
I like it.
That was a criteria. But it turned out he was also an amazing human. So he really became the mentor for me, and he actually used to guide me saying, okay, think about this, and he was always like, we never talked to each other, and this may look, it's a room full of women, so I'll share the story. This may feel like awkward for the culture today. Even in India, nobody does this. I spoke to him for the first time in private, was our wedding night. We never spoke to each other until we got married, and we spoke to each other after we were married, but in private without 20 people surrounding us or our wedding night. And the first conversation we had was, he was telling me like, I want to make sure you're independent enough, you're not always dependent on me. I'm like, hallelujah.
You're like, this is going to work out just fine.
I got jackpot. So he
Maybe
became
your
my
parents kind of knew that as they were trying to
I don't think, but see, my mom is a working woman, very independent thinking, but she's also an amazing woman. I learned a lot from her. She knows how to bend the norms of the social constraints, but she never was somebody completely broke it, because it's very important when you're in a communal culture. You don't want to be sticking out if you want to make a major change. And she was actually an amazing woman who herself became a director of a school at the age of 21 when it was only like 400 students. And when she retired, she entirely dedicated her life to education. And when she retired at the age of 60 or something from the school was over 5,000 students from a thatch roof, one building. They were like multiple buildings, and there are so many women or girls coming out of that school doing amazing things. So she herself was actually, in some ways, in her own ways, a big change agent. But she did it in the norm without breaking everything, because she has to galvanize and she has to carry the community along. And I learned that skill from her. Honestly, I dedicate that to her. So just coming back to my story, so that led me to moving to Bangalore, which is the first time living in a city for me from a small town. And the journey started from their career. And then after 3 years of our wedding, we decided to have a kid. And my daughter was born, and there we go. Here is the person with the whole vision of, I want to be the programmer, software engineer, decided to quit the job. And people said, well, you really work hard to get this. And I said, well, I feel like I need to be a mother and I need to be focused. And it was actually 1995, and it was not a great time that you can get job easily. Mm-hmm. And I was in a good place, and quitting the job felt like I'm throwing it away, whatever I work hard. But I somehow had this strong feeling, if I want, I can get back. I came from a place where there was not a lot of opportunities. If I need, I can get back. So I took a complete time off, spent 1 year amazing loving with my daughter, enjoying every moment, capturing her first smile, her first turn. And then 1 year I could tell, like, I'm getting itchy to go back to the job. So I got back. I just walked in, talking to somebody about, hey, I'm thinking about going back. And they said, do you want to interview? I said, yeah, I'll interview. And then it turned out to be, they liked me, offered a job. And that actually took me to working for Nortel. I mean, that's a job that moved me to this country. Amazing opportunities coming here. My career took off from being a R&D, product engineering leader to IT, and then everything is a history.
Awesome. Well, usually, yeah, that's amazing. Usually, kids, and as you're that age, you change your mind 1,600 times. I mean, still as adults. So that's pretty awesome that you stuck with it. You must really like it.
I really liked it, but I also think even though it was technology, it's not the same thing. Like the way I imagine as a technology leader I want to be, or a technologist I want to be, when I was in my 20s versus today what I'm doing is so different. I still have love for technology. I always tell people that I'm a geek at heart. But today, I focus on technology as a means. It's not the end. But my 20-year-old will say technology is the end. Today, I only look at it as technology as a means. What you produce as an end is the social change you create, business outcomes you create, and opportunities you create for others. Technology has to produce an outcome. If not, it's a great fun thing. That's it.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that. So I'm going to jump around a little bit. So let's fast forward to your first CIO role. So what was the most important thing that you learned in that first year? I'm going to grab you some water.
Yeah, thank you. First CIO role. I think for me, becoming a C-suite leader was sort of like I had really amazing people to watch and grow. I worked in a company called Cisco, and the CIO of Cisco was my sponsor, and she took me under her wings, and I watched learning a lot from her. And I also worked for another women leader called Sue Stemel, and she was a cancer survivor, 3 times cancer survivor. And the attitude she brought to life was like just impeccable. And even today, some of us always ask the question, when we are in a tough situation, what will Sue say? That's actually our kind of a thing. Like, I mean, she taught me really to, think with the head, act with the heart, which is actually a hard thing because as business leaders, it's very easy to act with the head because you can be very logical. I'm actually a data-driven, logical person. So for me, it's very easy to act with the head only. But she taught, like, you have to think, but act with the heart. It's always the human you need to consider when you're acting, right? So for me, getting to the CIO role, the first thing is I have to recognize and I have to internalize the buck stops here. There's nobody more I can say, okay, I'm passing it. I have to own the good and bad of the outcomes. And it's actually, I always say the outcomes because at the end of the day, that matters. And I have to own it in such a way that I'm carrying the team along. I only tell my team 3 things. As a leader, I only care about 3 things. 1, asking for help is not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of strength. Doesn't matter who you are, where you are in the ladder, where you are in the industry, you always only know so much. There's a world out there you don't know. So asking for help is a sign of strength. 2, you're only as good as your team. Doesn't matter whether you're a CEO, CIO, president, it doesn't matter. End of the day, you're only as good as your team. So really focus on your team. If you get a good team, if you have people who actually challenge each other, if you have people who bring diverse set of thinking to the table, you're going to be in a good place. 3, you either win or lose together. There's no single winning. And when you get into this, when you say we are going to win or lose together, it's not just your team. It also, like, for example, in Palo Alto, I mean, you know this, Jazz, we work a lot together. I don't look at IT winning if we deliver amazing solution, if sales is not able to get the revenue targets.
That's right.
The win or lose is not just within our team, but it's also the larger team. So you need to have that. Those are the 3 things I live by, and I always tell my team, those are the 3 things we live by every day.
And it's true because you'll always ask, how important is this to you? Do you need it? So.
Of course. course, we have limited resources.
Yeah. I mean, that's the other piece is you have to prioritize a lot in your role as well. So I think one of the things, and you talked about this as you were growing up as a kid, right? You're very curious, curiosity. I think that's what drove you to the computer and wanting to learn all of that. So how do you foster the continuous learning with your team, your current team? I know we're going through a lot of change, and you've implemented a 4-year journey for us at Palo Alto Networks, but how do you help your team go through that journey?
Yeah. I mean, another thing is, if you never fall, you're playing safe. It's okay to fall, right? What I mean by that is experimentation has to be part of the culture. Again, we all know that. I can guarantee no company in this room can tell, oh, we have unlimited resources. Because we are an innovative company, our CEO will tell, go and spend the money, whatever you want. No, that's not the case. We all know that. However, you have to carve out. Doesn't matter how hard your financial situation is or how lavish your financial situation is. There needs to be a focus on how you're going to have the culture of experimentation. Okay. And experimentation has to be thoughtful, right? I mean, when we talk about curiosity, yes, curiosity is you can go and do everything. That's okay from a fun and personal point. But in a business sense, I always ask the team, hey, what is the experiment we are doing and what's the outcome that we want to test? Sometimes we don't know. That's okay. If you don't know, you better know that you don't know, that you just want to test a technology. That's okay. We don't know what the technology is. We want to learn the technology, so we are going to do some experimentation. Then we'll find the use cases. That's okay. But otherwise, like AI is a great example. Right now, I mean, anybody it doesn't matter which industry you are in. It doesn't matter what's the size of your company. AI is a tectonic shift. And I tell teams that, the biggest shift that I can think about before AI is industrialization. It changed the entire world. Or maybe the one before that is coal and steam engine. It's that kind of a tectonic shift. It's going to disrupt every single industry in a positive way. Is it going to be all going to look positive on day one? No. When industrialization came, there was a dip, and then there is a lot more came out. And I'm a glass half full person. I truly believe it's going to create outcomes that we have never imagined, be it personal medicine and the healthcare, or be it really looking at genomes and DNA analysis that we are not able to, or be it social changes they want to bring to very narrow focused social changes. It's going to enable all of that. But when you're doing an experimentation, look at it like, for example, when in Palo Alto, when we looked at AI, we were very clear what is the biggest pain for sales teams is. There is like 5 things. You have really a challenge with our response to RFP. Our sales engineers' collaboration takes a long time to get the things they need to get. You have really a tough time knowing what is the latest and greatest of the product information when you're sitting in front of the customer and the customer 360. So we did experimentation of the technology that can produce some results in that area. Some are successful, some are not successful. Then you kind of iterate on that. That's kind of how, I mean, anybody you don't need to be a C-level leader. Curiosity is something in today's world, if we don't as individuals bring to the table, we are not going to be successful. My team knows, I mean, I have sessions called Educate Meerah. They come, they tell me what is happening. I mean, my geek at heart always want to learn new things as well. So we sit down, and it's actually a great thing. You learn a lot from disruptive thinking from people who are younger than you or who are junior in their levels, because you also keep touch to what's happening on the field, right? And I'm a firm believer, if you don't know what is happening on the field as a leader, you will not be able to produce changes.
Yeah. Well, salespeople need to be curious too, so we share that in common. So I'm going to shift gears a little bit relative to pressure. So we all have a lot of pressure in our jobs, no matter what the roles are, right? You can never do things fast enough, everything, competing priorities. So what would you say is the greatest pressure for a CIO that you have to face?
I think it depends. I think every job, what you said is true. When I think about pressure, I also use the word and the same line as priority, right? And they go hand in hand. And if you're, I think my previous speaker was talking about clarity. Clarity is so important that will allow you to make the choices, which is where the priority comes into picture, right? So if I pick on that theme, when as a CIO, my pressure is typically, it depends on the company. Palo Alto honestly doesn't look at IT as a cost center only. We also look at that as an innovation engine and a growth engine as well. But typically, when you're in IT or any organization, there are some levers. I mean, if you're in sales, your pressure is going to be around revenue growth and customer intimacy and things like that. For me, it is how we are going to have, it's like a P&L. What is invested in IT? What is the ROI IT is going to produce? Any IT organization, you have 3 levers. What do you do for the top line? How you help the company to, bring money in faster? What are you going to do the bottom line, which is what is the efficiency you can produce? And the third is how do you make sure every employee is productive? It doesn't matter how many. If you can get 10% more efficiency and productivity for our employees, it translates into a much higher. And you have to do it all in the realm of making sure the company is secure, right? So when I kind of think about it, for me, it's all about prioritization. It's all about making sure that we are putting the elements of ROI in the picture that allows us to have a meaningful prioritization conversation with the business so that we can produce superior outcomes.
Awesome. All right, so we're coming to a close, but I'm going to ask you a couple more questions.
Okay.
So we are in a room full of sellers, marketers, channel leaders. So we're going to talk about sales for a second, because I know you get sold to as well in your current role. So tell us, what does the best salesperson look like that calls on you? Like, what makes you take the meeting? What makes you say, okay, that was a good proposal? What makes you interested?
Yeah. I think I would use the word salesperson to a partner. When I say partner, I didn't mean channel partner. It's like, what you said is obviously true. At least I get 10 emails every day, somebody trying to sell something. I get some random calls every day. In fact, I used to tell people, if you're calling my work phone, half the time my assistant is answering and telling I'm busy. I didn't even know that you call. So please don't waste your time doing blank calls. It doesn't go through. So let me just answer your question. For me, it's about what is the problem that you're going to help me solve? Do you understand the problem that I have to solve for my business, right? And I always tell people, it may sound sort of, how do I say? Don't take it not respectful, but I use the analogy of a seagull, right? The good salespeople are not, you know what seagulls does, right? They come, fly in.
And then you never see them again.
Yeah, drop the shit and just fly off.
Note to self, don't drop the poop.
Don't be a seagull. When shit happens, be with me. I cannot say more than that. That's a great salesperson.
That's true. That is, that's a lot of feedback that I get as well. Like, are you there, for the hard times, right?
Yes.
Not just when you're trying to sell something, then you fly away after.
Yeah. Especially as practitioners, the more you are closer to me, the more you understand, the more you are in the trenches, it gives you more opportunity to deepen the relationship and sell more.
All right. So we're going to move to lightning round, and then we're going to wrap, okay? Best continent to run a marathon in?
Antarctica.
Oh, okay. Favorite technology?
Garmin.
Okay. Favorite movie?
Favorite movie? It has to be a one word, but I'll tell why. Baby's Day Out.
Oh, okay.
The reason is I was pregnant and I was almost, I mean, all women can relate to it. You wanted to get out of that as quick as possible. My daughter was 3 weeks late.
Oh, God.
And I was like counting every single day. And they did all magic, nothing happened. And then this movie, I was watching and laughing so hard, I have to go to the labor.
Yes. It's not spicy food, huh? Favorite book?
Favorite Alchemist.
Okay, okay. And then the best piece of advice you have ever received?
Best piece of advice I've ever received. I would say be the change you want to see in the world.
Awesome. Well, Meerah, thank you so much. It's been great sharing the stage with you, and thank you for all your insight.
Thank you, Jess. Thank you. Thank you.